Good morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
Good morning, and welcome back again to Insurance Matchmaking. You're just going to hear me today. I don't have a guest host, so hopefully I won't bore you too much. But one of the things I want to talk today, I'm going to title this show "Don't Call Joe." And if you heard my first broadcast, you probably heard me reference that. And that alludes to those Joe Namath and others misleading Medicare ads. I want to talk a little bit about that today and kind of talk about what's wrong with those commercials and kind of explain what that's all about, because it can be a little confusing. As I've mentioned, when Dana was here, we're in a group called BNI, Business Networking International, and one of our favorite sayings in that program is, friends don't let friends call 800 numbers. And that's kind of my motivation here on that. As you know, I have a passion for the Medicare insurance, and those commercials can be really misleading, and they've actually made it harder for some of we're not competing with them. I could care less about the commercials. I don't feel I compete with them. But some of the regulations that have come down the pike because of those commercials have made it a little harder for guys like me that are local agents. And I say guys, I mean, local agents. It could be gals too. But the hoops we've had to jump through to try to straighten out the complaints that they're getting due to these misleading commercials, and it was your local agents weren't the ones causing the problems. We're not getting the complaints. There are some complaints, but then again, those are usually isolated, and it's something that an agent did. And a lot of times it's not even that they're doing something wrong, but they just did something a little incorrectly that messed somebody up, or they didn't completely understand what they were signing up for. But my objection to these commercials are they're luring older Americans, and I'm coming into that window. I'm turning 65 in December, but when I'm talking about the people that are 10 and 15 years older than me, they're sitting there watching their old TV reruns like Gunsmoke and Little House on the Prairie. And I say that because I've been in people's homes when I'm going to meet with them about reviewing their Medicare, and that's what the TV is on, and those commercials come on. But they've been on Medicare for a while, and they know that their Medicare doesn't cover their dental, vision, or hearing needs. And then they hear this commercial that says, call and get everything you deserve. Call today. Check your zip code. And so they dial that 800 number, but unfortunately, once they dial that number, that person, their sole job is to get you enrolled into a Medicare Advantage plan. And even if you already have a Medicare Advantage plan, they're still going to try everything they can, try to find a special enrollment period or something to get you switched to another plan. That's their job. They're salespeople. They have quotas to make. I did one of my Medicare 101 workshops last night, and the lady in the plan was talking about, she had talked to somebody, and basically that person was telling me, you need to act today to get this rate. And those rates aren't set that way. She has time. She's not even going to be eligible for Medicare until next January. So all this person was trying to do was trying to make a quick sale today, and that's one of the things I don't do. Hey, yeah, I want to make a quick sale, but I also want to build a relationship with my clients and be able to be there to service them, answer their questions, and when they're ready to go forward, I'm ready to help them. So, as I mentioned, those calls, when you call into that 800 number that was on your TV screen, that sales rep that answers the phone, their job is to put you in a Medicare Advantage plan, in which Medicare calls Part C. Medicare has not changed the rules that original Medicare will cover routine dental, vision, and hearing. The Medicare Advantage plans, they cover those very well. And I have a lot of clients that have the Medicare Advantage plans. I'm not saying no one should have a Medicare Advantage plan, but the problem is you've got somebody, like I said, they're watching the TV, and they've got a Medicare supplement or Medigap plans, they're called. They probably have a Plan F because they've been on Medicare for several years, and they're paying their monthly premium. and they go to the doctor, and it doesn't cost them anything. Now, they may have that Plan G, which came out a little later, and it's very similar to the Plan F, except for that it does have the deductible for the Part B. So currently that's $226. So if you have one of those plans, you're going to have to pay the first $226 of your health care, and then it covers 100% just like that Plan F does. But they think they're going to get the free dental, and they don't realize they signed up on a Medicare Advantage plan, and they go to the doctor and find out the doctor they normally see, now they're cobbled into a network, and that doctor doesn't take that network. That's kind of the worst case scenario that happens there. The other thing is, or they have to pay a copay that day because they now have a plan that has a copay. The other way, a lot of times, way people find out that they actually have that Medicare Advantage plan, or it's not just a dental plan, is the doctor they've been going to regular. They're used to billing Medicare. They turn around and they bill Medicare, and then 2 weeks, a month later, comes back, the bill is rejected, because that's the difference between a Medicare Advantage and a Medicare Supplement or Medigap. That Medigap covers that 20% that Medicare doesn't when that Medicare becomes that 80-20 plan. Medicare Advantage is a health plan. It replaces your Medicare as the payer for your health services. You still have Medicare, but you don't use your Medicare card for your day-to-day medical needs. I'm trying to think where I was giving back there. So, and then what happens is people are happy with that plan, and they find out they're on something else. They did a study back in the early 90s between CMS, Medicare, and Harvard, and did this study. And what they did the study, they took a poll, basically. They looked into everybody that's on Medicare, and they added up all their medical bills and then divided that out by the millions of people who are on Medicare, and it came to an average of $7,000 was the average that Medicare was paying for each individual. So they went to the insurance company and said, hey, design these plans. You can charge co-pays, figure out, so you don't lose money, you can charge a premium, and then we're going to pay you to be this person's health plan. So currently, there is a premium. Those zero premium plans you see, there is a premium, but you're not paying it directly. It's also similar like the ACA plans. There's a subsidy from the government. That subsidy on that Medicare Advantage plan is $1,000, $1,200 a month that they're paying for that zero premium plan. And now it's instead of Medicare trying to manage your health care costs, that managed care plan is. And that's why, and it's a very lucrative market for them. That's why they do a lot of advertising. That's why they add in dental, vision, hearing benefits, the over-the-counter items that you can get, your Band-Aids, your cough drops, your vitamins, all those things you can get them at no charge. You have an allowance and have them and delivered right to your door. So you can skip a trip to the local Walmart or Walgreens to get those kind of items. And it, again, saves you some money. And unfortunately, and I always have to remind my clients that have those plans, hey, use those benefits. And believe it or not, those benefits affect those different companies' star ratings. The goal for Medicare Advantage plans is to have 5 stars. We currently have 3 companies in Tennessee right now that do have 5-star rating on some of their plans. So that does help them. They get a bonus from CMS if they achieve that 5 stars, and it also gives them an ongoing enrollment period. So someone who's not happy with their Medicare Advantage plan, if they have one right now, they could possibly pick up a Medicare Advantage now because they do have that 5-star. Generally, what I run into more so is I didn't realize when I signed up for this Medicare Advantage, I thought it was a supplement. You don't know how many times when I'm talking to a client and they say, yeah, I got a supplement and it's plan blah, blah, blah. And I kind of chuckle and it's like, well, that's actually a Medicare Advantage plan. And they look at it as a supplement. It does go with their Medicare, but the definition of a Medicare supplement is it picks up that portion that Medicare doesn't pay. It's not the primary payer of your health care. So that's how that happens. One of the downsides of having a Medicare Advantage plan, and then you can work around it, but two of the biggest issues with the Medicare Advantage are you're now pigeonholed into a network. And if the doctor you see is not in that network, if you have what we call a PPO plan, you might be able to still see that doctor, but you're going to pay more because they're out of network. Or you may not, or if you see them, you're just going to pay 100% for whatever the cost is because your insurance isn't covering it because it's not in your network. So that makes it tough for a lot of people. And there are no networks with original Medicare and a Medigap plan. You can go to any doctor you want to. So there definitely is a convenience there. But you also have a higher premium. The Medicare Advantage is a pay-as-you-go. So you're going to have co-pays for some doctor visits. You're going to have a copay for so many days in the hospital or emergency room. Those are things, and they add up. So that's one of the downsides of that is it actually can be more expensive. The good news is both ways do provide you a protection against a maximum out of pocket. One of the things I start off with in my Medicare 101 meetings is don't think everything's free now that you're on Medicare. I'm not going to go into all the details of how it's not free, but the biggest one is there is no maximum out-of-pocket protection with just your Medicare A and B. That's why you need something else to go with it. And for some people, their income is, they want to cover that maximum out-of-pocket, but they don't feel comfortable paying a premium for their Advantage or for their Medicare supplement and a drug plan. So they will go ahead and get a Medicare Advantage. Hey, that's what's great. It's a zero premium. It includes the drug coverage, and it comes with a lot of those extra benefits of the dental, vision, and hearing. So those are some of the reasons why. And when we come back, I mentioned networks. I didn't talk about prior authorizations. We'll go into how that can affect you when we come back after this commercial break. All right, as we were talking about before the break there, I mentioned we'll talk about prior authorizations. They kind of go hand in hand with the issue with networks. And the Medicare Advantage plans, you're going to have a prior authorization and for a lot of things. Maybe you want to, your doctor's recommending a certain surgery. Okay, so that doctor's going to have to justify to the insurance company that you really need it, that, and a lot of times they'll come back, we'll pay for physical therapy. You've got, they prove the surgery, and it's normally an outpatient, but the doctor says because of your condition or something happened in the surgery, you need to be admitted to the hospital. They've got to coordinate with that insurance company to get that prior authorization for that hospital stay. And then here's the crazy part. You even need to get a prior authorization to leave the hospital. Not necessarily if they're going to send you home. They want you to go home because they don't want to pay for another day at the hospital. But the doctor says you're not ready to go home and you need to go into that skilled nursing, which a lot of people in Cookville Hill will refer to. You got to go over to the Blue Roof. You have to have a prior authorization for that. So they can slow up your discharge from the hospital. And it usually is still taken care of during that day, but they were ready to send you over and go ahead and get your rehab started, that afternoon, move you over at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon before they finally get you moved over to that skilled nursing facility. And, all the physical therapists have now gone home. They'll be back in the morning then to start your therapy. So you're a day behind in getting your therapy, because you had to get that prior authorization before you could move from the hospital to the skilled nursing facility. So those are some of the downsides. I mean, they're not insurmountable, but they can be an issue with original Medicare. And whether you have a Medigap or not, you're not dealing with those prior authorizations. So that's what makes those come in a little more handy, that you've got that. Now, one of the drawbacks with the Medicare supplement or Medigap plans are you generally are looking at an annual increase. And sometimes that you can have 2 annual increases because you are having you're having a birthday, so now you're in a higher age group, so now that plan's raising your rate because you're a year older, and they went ahead and put in for a annual increase, and so you have a percentage that's added onto your plan. Now, some of the plans are very generous or not say generous, but they don't have high percentage of rate increases, but then some do, and that's one of the things I've shared. I don't know if I did on the first program or not, but some plans are very good at keeping their rates down. They're going to have rate increases. We have inflation. We've been experiencing that. So there's going to be rate increases because of inflation. But what's the percentage they do it versus the percentage another company? And what surprised a lot of folks is just because an insurance company is a household name doesn't mean they won't really stick it to you down the road with your rate increase. And that's one of the drawbacks of a Medicare supplement. That zero premium plan is going to be a zero premium plan. The copays may go up, the maximum out of pocket may go up, there could be some deductibles. Those could all go up. But if you're not going to the doctor and you're paying a zero premium, that's great. Whereas that Medigap plan, it goes up each year. I'll run into a lot of folks also when they're older, let's say the late 70s or 80s, and they've had really high rate increases, and they just can't afford to keep the plan they have. And unfortunately, for a lot of them, depending on their health, they can't switch to another company because you can get a lower rate, you switch to another company, but you have to pass what's called the underwriting then. They're going to ask you those health questions, and that can be very burdensome. And then I had the reverse of somebody who took that Medicare Advantage plan because it was zero premium, and now their copays are adding up because they're going to the doctor a couple times a month. Maybe they're, and God forbid, but maybe they're having cancer treatments, and they're going to pay 20% of that cancer treatment until they hit the maximum out of pocket of that Medicare Advantage plan, whereas the Medicare supplement would have covered that 100%. But the downside is, you have a health condition like that, no Medicare supplement company is going to let you get their plan because they're going to be paying that 20% that Medicare's not, and they're not going to take on that burden. So it's like we talked about in life insurance. Hey, the time to get life insurance is when you're young and healthy. The time to get a Medicare supplement is when you're either healthy enough to get it or you're brand new to Medicare and you don't have to answer those health questions, because there is a 6-month window when you first turn 65 or you first activate your Part B. Some people delay that because they stayed on their employer plan. You had that 6 months, they don't ask you any health questions. And those health questions are going to be things like, do you have diabetes? Some companies, that's a straight knockout, any form of diabetes. And I'll run into people, I'm pre-diabetic. My doctor has me taking metformin. You're diabetic. And I can say that I are one. But the doctors, the doctors may call it pre-diabetes. The insurance companies, if you are taking any medicine that's designed for diabetes, you're diabetic. There's also, the thing is, there's some drugs that have actually been used for migraines, but they're also a memory drug. So that sometimes that can be a knockout just because it's looking like maybe you have Alzheimer's, and they'll just knock it out because you're taking that prescription. So there's a lot of reasons why you won't be able to get a Medigap plan when you want to, and that's why I always tell people, if you can afford it, get a Medigap. Start out with the Medigap plan, but it's your choice. I mean, I had a client who was a nurse practitioner, and she wanted Medicare Advantage. Usually, when I talk to people who are in the medical field, they've had to deal with the network issues and such like that. They don't want to do that. They'll go with a Medicare supplement. So it kind of surprised me that she decided she wanted the zero premium. That's actually kind of rare generally. Those costs will add up, and the other issue is when I'm talking to somebody, because I can't ask you about your health if we're looking to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan, but generally, if I'm reviewing your prescriptions to see which prescription plan will work, I'm going to kind of know what some of those health issues you have are. Or generally, most people they don't care. Say, well, yeah, I had cancer 3 years ago, or I had a heart attack 2 years ago. when they're talking to me as their insurance agent, they're okay with sharing with that. I can't say, hey, or I can say, do you have any health issues that might stop you from getting this plan if they're looking to maybe get a Medigap plan after that initial. But when they're first eligible, I'm not allowed to ask. It's a HIPAA violation for me to ask you your health insurance issues. You're free to tell me whatever you want. But I will talk to them if they already are diabetic or they've had some heart issues or cancer history or things like that. I will generally kind of forcefully recommend they get a Medigap plan. It's going to cost them with the Medigap and a drug plan. I usually say around $150 on top of what you're paying for your Part B premium. And if you can afford that, let's do that now, because any year during the annual election period, you can switch and go to that zero premium Medicare Advantage because there are no health questions there. Going the other direction, it can be harder and can be impossible for some people. So that's why when they're first turning 65, I generally recommend that you get a Medicare supplement and get a separate drug plan, but maybe get a Medicare Advantage later. And one of the things I cover in my workshops and when I talk to people is, as an insurance agent, I am paid a commission. On your Medicare supplement, I'm paid my commission based on the premium that you're paying. And so it seems like I'm saying spend more money so I can get paid more. The opposite's actually true. If you're brand new to Medicare, I get a substantially higher commission on that Medicare Advantage because it's a flat rate, and I get the same for whatever Medicare Advantage plan you get. So I do love to sign up new people new to Medicare on a Medicare Advantage because it works great when I get the commission, but I try to do what's in your best interest. I talked a little bit earlier about that doing the Plan G, where you pay your deductible and then it covers everything other. I've actually been recommending a lot of folks now to really consider Plan N. And Plan N does have some copays, but they're not as stark as it seems like. If you go to the doctor, you can have a copay up to $20. It will not be more than $20. And generally what it is, that 20% is left over for Medicare to pay. You're going to pay that 20%, but up to that maximum of $20. So most people are paying less than $20. They go to the doctor, but they're also saving $20 to $30 a month on their premium on N versus G. And I talked about those annual rate increases. A lot of the companies are either having a much lower or not any rate increase at all for people on Plan N. So we can go into detail that on a one situation, but I would love to be able to sit down with you and go over those options. I got a kick out of, like I mentioned, I'm in that 6-month window of my birthday. I'll be 65 in December, and I got a letter in the mail today, and the return address is your local office, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 37129. Oh, well, yeah, they sent me something just because I'm on the list. Kind of goes along with those misleading commercials. Again, those, and it could be an agent just like myself, but if you get a piece of mail from me, it's generally going to have my name on it. The only one that doesn't is the mailers that go out for my workshops because they are standardized. But when you go to the website, it's going to tell you that I'm the agent doing the presentation. So that was something I wanted to let you know on. So also, I know I'm getting close to running out of time here. Kind of need to get some plugs in. Don't forget, you can find me InsuranceMatchmaking.com. I mentioned I'm in BNI. I am also, you maybe have seen me before. For a couple years there, I was an usher at the 11 o'clock service at Life Church. I'm now working as an usher at our South Campus at Prescott Middle School. So I want to put that plug in. I'm also a veteran. I'm a member of the VFW. And so I will be talking from time to time about veteran issues here. The other thing is I am looking for something to present on the show. I would love to have your feedback on, hey, you mentioned this. Can you go in a little more detail about that? Or, hey, this is the question I've been having and nobody seems to be able to answer. So I'd love to have those questions about insurance and to be able to share those on air so that you can get those answers, and also lets me know, hey, people actually are listening. So I'm a little new at this. This is my third show, but I'm hoping to be able to answer those questions. So don't forget, I'm Matt Libby with Matt Libby Insurance. This is the Insurance Matchmaking Show, and tune in next week, and hopefully I'll have some more information for you.
Thanks for tuning in to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.